Great. So, two more sessions before lunchtime. We were just listening to two smart guys, very young guys with a lot of determination. And our next guest is not just a tech founder. He created his first company when he was 14. He's a bold thinker who, at just 16 years old, has created, I think, a couple of companies. He's dropped out of school and decided to chase one of the most ambitious goals in technology, which has been mentioned today in a couple of times, which is building artificial general intelligence. When he left his last startup, Lovable, he didn't just walk away. He challenged the entire AI ecosystem, stating that the bottleneck isn't smart models. He said that the tools and context around them is probably the problem. Today, for the first time at Tech Spirit Barcelona, we welcome a young mind disrupting the status quo and pushing us to rethink what's possible. Please give a warm welcome to Elliot Norrevik and Ignacy Costas from RCD.
So thank you everyone for being here. I think it's a challenge to describe. One of the reasons we want to invite Elliot is because we want to understand him better. We want to learn from him. We want to dissect the way he thinks. We know he's a celebrity. We know that some people have defined him as the future of AI. He's a serial entrepreneur. He's extremely young. He definitely doesn't come from Barcelona. Look the way he looks. I'm super cool. 3 layers of clothing. He wears a t-shirt. But we want to learn from everything, from the time you started, from the time that you developed your different companies, the time that you left Lovable, and we'll get to know more about it, and how do you see the future. So please, tell us about yourself. Who are you?
Yeah. Yes, as you heard, my name is Elliot. I'm building a startup at the moment. I previously worked at Lovable, but maybe like beginning from the start, I've always had a love for building things, and I got into programming pretty early at like 11. So the way I got into programming was that we got these computers to my school, and we had these like Chromebooks, laptops, but we were supposed to do like schoolwork on them in Google Classroom, but nobody of us students wanted to do schoolwork. We wanted to like play games, right? But our school had blocked the access to all the websites where there were games, so we couldn't actually play them anyways. But then I found out about this site called Scratch, where you could like design your own games by dragging and dropping like different blocks. So I started building my own games in Scratch and kind of showed it to my friends, and we started playing those games instead. And kind of that's seeing people using something I built kind of stuck with me. So I wanted to get more into programming and into technology.
And what do you, I mean, definitely you were looking for a solution to hack the system, to be able to use your computers from the school, to be able to play, but what did you do afterwards?
Yeah.
What was your next experience? Did you create a company? So what was in your mind, or what was it in your mind at the time?
Yeah. So I didn't have any, I didn't really think of companies back then as something that you could do. I had always figured that I wanted to do something else than like what other people were doing. But I started like watching these YouTube videos and courses on how to program in Python, and like building different games, like more and more advanced games in like doing actual programming. And I thought that was really fun. And I also played a lot of chess as a kid. So I played chess like competitively and was one of the top ranked Swedish player in my age. But I think that the thing that chess gave me the most is kind of I heard about this program developed by DeepMind called AlphaZero, which had learned to play chess and become like the best chess computer, better than any player or any other computer, by just playing against itself. And I realized that if you can take this program, which can learn essentially anything and apply it to other fields, that's basically gonna solve most of the problems that humans have. So I was like, this is something that I want to work on. Like, this is gonna be so impactful in the world.
And what did you do? What was your next stage in life? You create a company, you continue studying, did everything?
Yeah, so I started like learning more about AI and machine learning, and then when ChatGPT was released, I had gathered all these and acquired all these skills, and I thought that now was the time to like apply them, because I saw like ChatGPT was now the first thing where AI was actually useful for kind of normal people. So I was like, okay, what problems do I see? And I had ordered a book recently on like Amazon, and I had made a typo in my order, so I had to contact Amazon's customer service, where I was then met by like AI, and that solved my problem like super smoothly. And usually, like before, when I encountered an AI customer service, it had like been a horrible experience and was super bad. But now like Amazon had done it really well, and I was like, okay, all e-commerce companies should have this kind of customer service. So I started like developing customer service agents for e-commerce brands. I was 14 at the time, and that kind of turned into a company, which was like how I got into startups. Yeah.
Really good. And after that, well, you feel that company was like providing services, it was more like a consulting. What was the evolution of that startup?
Yeah. So I thought I wanted to build like a product, because that's kind of, I had seen these videos about what you should do with a startup, and like you should build a kind of software as a service product. So that's what I planned to do. But what turned out happening instead was I became more of a consultant for these e-commerce brands, because the kind of, if I had developed this customer service agent for one customer, it couldn't like generalize to the next. So I had to kind of develop it again for the new customer. So I got a couple of like pretty big customers, but I stopped doing that company for after around a year. That's what happened. Yeah.
And then you start, being approached by a very interesting startup.
Yeah.
And some flirting started to happen. So tell us about it.
Yeah. So it's kind of a like funny story. So I started when I stopped doing this customer service AI customer service company. I started building like my own side projects, just for fun, and I was still in school. So, so I started doing these side projects, and one of the side projects was I called it Cursor for Writing. So at this time, the Cursor, which is like one of the fastest growing startups ever, and it's like a AI powered coding tool, and it was just starting to take off back then. And I was like, okay, you have this super powerful tool for coding. What if you could have that for other like areas, like writing documents? Because like ChatGPT was great, but you had to like copy and paste its answers into documents, and like it was kind of messy still. So I was like, okay, there's definitely something you can do here. So I started building my own tool, which is like a Google Docs replacement. I thought of it. It was like you had these documents, and then you had like a chat on the side which you can talk, and they could see and change the document. Like you had everything in one page. And so I built that and posted it on Twitter, and that went very viral on Twitter. And that was like my first time going viral on Twitter. And what ended up happening was that the founder of Lovable, Anton, who I knew from before. We had spoken a couple of times at like hackathons and such contexts, but he ended up approaching me and saying like, oh, I saw what you're building. It's super cool. We should talk. So we had a chat, and he wanted me to join Lovable. And Lovable at this time was like just starting to take off. And I mean, for how many know what Lovable is? Yeah, that's most of you. But so for you, those who don't know what Lovable is, it's like AI which lets you create apps and websites just by prompting. And it's become like one of the fastest growing startups in Europe ever. And it was just starting to take off when I joined, and we had like something like 10 million in revenue at that time, and we're 20 people. And yeah, that's
Cool. What happened? How long did you stay in Lovable?
yeah. I stayed for just 7 months, and it was like when I joined, we were 20 people, and then when I left, we were 80 people, and now I think it's a bit of 100 people, and it's just a wild story and trajectory. Like, as I said, when I started, we had like $10 million in revenue, and then like 3 months after that, we had $100 million in revenue, and now it's like at 200 million. So it's just insane kind of growth.
And you know, everybody wonders. The big question is, why did you leave Lovable, being such an amazing project?
Yeah, I think Lovable is a great company, and the issue or like why I left was I thought Lovable was kind of going in one direction, and I felt like I wanted to go in another direction. So Lovable was starting to become this like big company and started hiring like a lot of very kind of senior people. While before we had been like these pirates, it was like fighting the Navy. We used to say, but now we were becoming the Navy. But I still think it's a great company. But I wanted to do something else.
Wow. So you gave up lots of things, because as we all know, in these sort of companies, they give you stock and so expectation of value. So you were committed to your values, the way you think life should be, company should be, and you drop and you create a new one. Tell us about your new company.
Exactly. Yeah. So I've started this new company now, and it's still kind of stealth, I would say, but kind of the idea is that I have this thesis that I think the current way that we improve AI models is by putting them in challenging environments and like let them act in these environments. It's usually called like reinforcement learning environments. And you let them make an action and then like see the output of or like the consequence of that action, and then you let the model learn by itself by doing kind of. And the very recently in San Francisco, which is like the frontier of AI and technology, the most hyped startup were these startups building reinforcement learning environments. But then I asked myself, okay, what happens when the models are smart enough to create their own environments where they can act in and learn from? And like, as most things, AI models are probably gonna do it as well or better than humans. So when the AI models can do AI research better than humans, what happens then? And I think that we might be approaching this thing which researchers call the recursive self-improvement, where the models create good enough environments that they themselves can act in and learn from, and kind of can see their own flaws and create environments to fix those flaws, and then they will like be able to recursively improve themselves without any human intervention. And I think I want to work on something in related to that field. Yeah.
Okay, but I heard that, I have to make a confession. Both Mikkel and I played together Call of Duty, and it seems that get into video games, you get the data, you process, and you sell it. So tell us about the specifics on the video game industry.
Yeah. So I think there's this kind of data source which is very like the text is just a description of the world, right? And our current models are trained on a lot of text, but you can't really learn how the world works just from text. So you have to see someone like act in the real world and kind of get ground truth data. And I think that the place where we have but the issue with the real world is then that you can't really simulate it in like the 1,000 different ways a ball can bounce based on like air and velocity and such. So we still need some kind of simulation. And the place where we have like so much more data, or like the place where we have the most amount of data is in video games. And a lot of these video games right now they're kind of photorealistic and very similar to the real world. So I think video games is a very underutilized source of data for training AI models. And I kind of want to work on something there.
So it's fascinating. So I'd like to understand it more. So let's say that Mikel is really, aggressive the way he plays. He's really that random. He pretty much loses every time that we play together. But are you gonna try to teach or to get some knowledge out of the way he plays as a way to simulate real world into getting that knowledge into the, big large language models, and then from the getting that data to learn? So you think we can learn from the way he plays?
Yeah, so the idea is that the way humans learn is as infants we watch our parents kind of act in the world and learn to imitate them. But eventually when we kind of become smart enough, we can start to act in the world and get kind of data that way, if you want to put it that way. So, but to be able to act competently in the world, you need a lot of like priors and a lot of data, and so for humans to learn, we still need to kind of watch others act in the environment, and that's kind of what we want. I want the models to learn from game data, like seeing others act in games and how the actions in these games affect the game environment.
It's very interesting. I think that in terms of social behaving and individual behaving, you can learn lots from the way someone play. Since we don't have very much time, can you tell us about how you see AGI?
Yeah.
Because we want to see your different perspectives on AGI, short term, mid term, long term.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of different definitions of AGI. Some people think we already have AGI. Some people think AGI is a few years away. Some think AGI will never be achieved. But I think I have kind of two definitions of AGI, and the first one is the more kind of practical and economically valuable general intelligence, where the idea is that AI can do pretty much anything that a human can do on a computer. And what I think a very good analogy here is something like Jarvis from Iron Man. So Jarvis is this assistant to Iron Man, which can basically do anything that he can do on a computer. And but it's not really autonomous. It's not really agentic. So kind of Tony Stark still comes up with the ideas, but Jarvis executes them. And I think we're very close, maybe just a year or two away from models smart enough to be like Jarvis in Iron Man. And I think that's incredibly valuable all around the world. So like basically anyone will be able to create anything is the idea. So that's kind of what Lovable enables as well, that now anyone is able to create software. And I think that's approaching AGI in some sense. So but you still need the interface. And then there's the more like research definition of AGI, which also is very interesting, which is like a general learning algorithm which can kind of learn anything. And this was the original idea of AGI. And I think that's where we're further away from that. And I think you don't need such a general learning system to be able to do most of what a human can do on a computer.
Any threats? Do you think there's a threat, or do you think there's a hope? What do you think?
I think, in general, the impact of AGI is gonna be mostly good. Like the potential threats or issues is something like humans. There is this quote which I really like, which is like, I'm not afraid of machines thinking like humans. I'm afraid of humans thinking like machines. So that's something I'm really worried about. Like, and I've felt it myself. Like, I don't feel as kind of almost not as conscious when I just let some days I'm very tired and just let the kind of vibe everything with AI and like tell it to do everything. but I kind of end up becoming kind of my brain becomes sloppy or like I have a harder time to think, and I think that's a real threat. I think another potential threat with AGI or AI is that you, instead of kind of democratizing software and democratizing everything, it becomes just concentrated on a small amount of people, where like the kind of wealth gaps and different like social gaps becomes even wider. I think is another concern, but I wouldn't really be worried about anything like Terminator or something like that.
Okay, so let's go to the future. We've seen the past, we've seen the present, and the future. So let's put ourselves 10 years from now. Okay, see how you see, what would you like to have achieved in terms of your professional career, your startup, so on, and how do you see the technology will be 10 years from now?
Yeah.
I know it's a tough question in terms of forecasting 10 years from now, but see yourself there 10 years from now.
Yeah, I mean that's a very difficult question to answer, but I think I want to build something really impactful that helps a lot of people. I think I'm very interested in these kind of world models, which is getting more and more popular, which is kind of AI models that can generate these worlds and environments, which I touched on earlier. And I think it's like we're gonna have models that can kind of simulate the real world, and I think that's gonna be very impactful in like VR and kind of those things, but also like in education. Like imagine that you can like in school, I had a hard time like kind of being in school and learning that, you know, everybody sits like you have the whiteboard and everybody sits in chairs. But So imagine like you can teach people by having a model that generates an environment of maybe like the medieval times, and like the students can go around and interact with people in the medieval times. I think those kind of models where you can like generate worlds are gonna like touch and impact like education, but like a lot of fields. So I want to work on something there.
So full immersion. And how about you? Tell us a bit more about
Yeah, about me.
10 years from now.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. I just. I mean, it's. I'm still gonna be human, right? Like I don't think it's gonna be much different. It's probably gonna have to manage a lot of people, for good or bad. But I mean, I hope to have some kind of company of some sort. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much. It's been great having you in Barcelona in the Tech Spirit. Please make sure that you come by on a regular basis to tell us about your progress, not only your project, but also your approach towards the future, technology, and society. And thank you. It's been really inspiring.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.